Hello. Two things you do well to consider when revising the relationships poetry anthology. One, the different types of relationships that these poems explore. Family relationships, romantic, friendship. Two, the similarities and differences in the ways that these poems explore those relationships. Now we're going to be looking at romantic ones today, which means a lot of poems focusing on breakups, shaky marriages, the loved up gushings and outpourings of those intoxicated by romantic love. Overall, it's going to give you a solid idea of what different poems say about romantic love and how all those poems interconnect. Vital knowledge, I'm sure you'll agree, for the demands of the exam.
Here's the basic layout of the anthology poetry question. You've got those gaps, those dashed lines, denoting which parts of the exam question the examiner is going to change each year. The red, of course, is going to change the named poem, and in green he's going to alter the key theme or focus or idea that you're going to explore and compare in the two poems. This video then is going to focus on romantic relationships, romance, and we're going to zoom through all the relationships poems that relate to this theme. We'll have a quick play about with connections between some of these poems in the spirit of comparison that the exam question demands of you. Now, because we're looking at romantic poems here, we're going to disregard and ignore any poem focusing on family relationships or friendships. It's only when physical or sexual or sensual desire drives our feelings. Those are the kind of poems, the kind of relationships we're going to explore, boyfriends, girlfriends, dates and marriages. Now, if you fancy yourself as a real level 7 to 9 merchant, take a good look at the accompanying pictures in these slides and try and work out what line or image or idea from the poem I'm trying to illustrate. We'll kick off with Keats's La Belle Dame sans Merci. A very dark take on romance here. You've got Keats depicting love almost like an emotional combine harvester, shredding your soul to a pile of pulp. Love takes the bounce out of you here. It really does ruin your life. Duffy's Valentine explores romantic relationships too. You've got the poet faffing about that vegetable metaphor, the onion. I reckon it's quite a fruity poem, really. It implies that love's this heady concoction of pain and passion. Well, you've got a right smug Herbert in Browning's My Last Duchess. You've got the Duke, this Johnny who seems to be more in love with himself than anybody else. He's the kind of bloke who might French kiss a mirror. Anyway, he seems to think a loving wife should demonstrate an unwavering adoration of her hubby and show a docile compliance with his whims and wishes. Not the kind of charmer you want marrying your sister, really. Jennings's poem has a very ironic title, a title that defies expectation, because one flesh implies unity, and yet this poem explores a broken relationship. You've got these two lost souls who find the roaring flames of their youthful passion have now reduced to this piddly flicker. This poem is not exactly shining PR for the institution of marriage. Very bittersweet poem is Simon Armitage's The Manhunt. It's about this husband's war experiences, putting pressure on that loving bond with his wife. The PTSD is eroding their romantic unity. Always been haunted by that last line as well, something like, then and only then did I come close. There's a real unsettling ambiguity there, and try as I might, I just don't feel that it rounds off with a happy ending. Lord Byron's poem, She Walks in Beauty, offers us a shriekingly shallow narrator. This bloke thinks that a woman's physical attractiveness is a reliable indicator of her inner human decency. And I'd say frankly that there's an army of Kardashians that could disprove that thesis. Anyway, this guy's skewed mathematics seem to be that good looks equals good soul. Neutral Tones has a very bleak portrayal of romance. Hardy's message here, very cynical towards a love match. They don't last. There's emotional fallout that's not exactly a giggle fest to endure. For his take on romance, Cooper Clarke seems to trawl the car boot sale to generate his imagery, and he uses objects like coffee pots, raincoats and teddy bears to stress all the things that he can do for a lassie if she agrees to a romantic relationship with him. Wendy Cope appears to be saying in First Dates that our attempts to appear prettier, wittier, cleverer than we truly are actually gets in the way of love blossoming. Misperception, miscommunication appears to characterise the world of modern dating. If you're thinking the quality of the pictures just picked up, that's because my wee daughter drew this for Browning's gushing tribute to the power of love. Yeah. Final one now, thank goodness. You've got Jen Hadfield's Love's Dog presenting a more balanced take on love. Love's got perks, it's got problems, there's pros and cons, positives and negatives, and these are presented through a whole heap of metaphors. Oh, you'd be a long ice age trying to beat Mr. Taylor at Pictionary, wouldn't you? We'll turn our attentions now to the exam question, where you've got to establish links, connections, comparisons between two poems. Now, all those poems we've just looked at present romance, but of course there are similarities and differences in the viewpoints, the feelings that they have towards that theme of romance. So, over the next couple of slides, I've grouped the poems together to better clarify the links between them. When it comes to a predominantly positive depiction of romance, there's only really two poems in this anthology that do this. You've got She Walks in Beauty and Sonnet 43. Both these poems present something of a love whitewash, love is all great, all happy, all of the time. And if you believe that, I've got some magic beans I'd like to sell you. Some poems though, a fair few in fact, explore the dark underside of love. I mean, don't tell the tourists, but love can be pain, anxiety, a gradual erosion of the human spirit. These poems roll out a very cynical, jaundiced depiction of romance. Then there's a couple of poems that present a more balanced viewpoint. Like a lot of things in life, love brings perks and problems. Now you may feel there are other poems that I've placed elsewhere that warrant inclusion in this category, and frankly, as long as you can justify it, I ain't got a problem with that. That's all cake and ale, that's all milk and honey to me. We're entering the final furlong now, folks. This is just a parting gift, really. I've done other videos that deconstruct how to write about poems in the exam and how to compare them, but it doesn't hurt to dazzle you, to rock your retinas with a few model paragraphs here and now, just so you can see what this stuff looks like, the analysis, the comparison, when you're laying down level 9 quality exam responses. I've put in some colour coding, some labelling, just to help you see what I'm doing to cement that high standard in my writing. You'll notice on the 4th line it talks about the semantic field of vision. Scary term, just means words relating to vision, seeing. In this paragraph I've locked in a language, I've given a secondary or a deeper meaning, and I've kicked the whole thing off by establishing a connection between the two poems that I'm exploring. All in all, an out and out winner this paragraph. What have we got? Magnificent! This is the sister section, the comparative paragraph to the one you've just seen. I've started by clarifying the different techniques that the two poems use, the stuff in black there. What else is in this paragraph? Well, I've laid on some lovely linguistic analysis. I've even tossed in a contextual gemstone before finishing with a summarising comparison, looking at the poem's conflicting views on romance. Now, 3 comparisons in 2 paragraphs. You certainly don't have to do it this way, but you've got to admit, it's not a shabby way of doing things. And purely because I've just given you 2 paragraphs exploring connections between language techniques, here's 2 paragraphs looking at structural ones, and for 2 different poems as well. Drink it in if you're so inclined. Right folks, time to pull the plug on love. Mind you, for my money, the most enchanting description of love you're ever going to read comes from the most unlikely of sources. There's this novel called First Blood, the basis of those Rambo movies. Now the novel is not a kind of, gung-ho, macho fight fest. It's beautifully written by a professor of literature. Anyway, at the end of the novel, there's this line describing not romantic love, but the love between like a parent and a child. It says he thought about the kid and he flooded with love for him. And I just adore that line, that image, the idea of being like deluged or submerged in love, like it's coursing around your body. And I think if we find anybody in life, friend, family member, or, a romantic attachment, makes us feel like that, we're doing all right, we're winning. Anyway, enough of my sentimental slop, my mawkish musings. Time to leave you good people to your day. I wish you the very best of luck in that exam.